I'm Ms. L. Walls. I'm at the International School of Tomorrow in Moscow, and today we're going to talk about emotional intelligence. So let's look at what is emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the capacity to be aware of and control and express one's emotions, to handle interpersonal relationships judiciously and empathetically. Those are big words. To be able to handle relationships well and to understand where the other person is coming from. It's also the ability to monitor one's own and other people's emotions, to be able to see what somebody else is feeling, to be able to read their emotions in their face and in their actions, to be able to discriminate between different emotions, to label them appropriately, and to use emotional information to guide thinking and behaving. So why is emotional intelligence important? Emotional intelligence affects all areas of our lives. It affects our physical health, the ability to take care of our bodies, and especially to manage our stress, which has an incredible impact on our overall wellness, is heavily tied to our emotional intelligence. How we are able to manage stress affects our physical health, and our emotional intelligence is a key factor in how we handle stress. Our mental well-being. Emotional intelligence affects our attitude and outlook on life. It can also help to alleviate anxiety and to avoid depression. A high level of emotional intelligence directly correlates to a positive attitude and a happier outlook on life. Emotional intelligence affects our relationships. When we can better understand and manage our emotions, then we can better communicate our feelings in a constructive way. We're also better able to understand how others relate to us and how to handle those relationships, how to deal with people. Emotional intelligence impacts our ability to resolve conflict or possibly to avoid conflict. When we can discern people's emotions and empathize with their perspective, it's much easier to resolve conflict. We're also better able to negotiate, because if we understand what they want, then we can give it to them. Emotional intelligence impacts our ability to succeed. Higher emotional intelligence helps us to be stronger internal motivators, which can reduce procrastination, increase self-confidence, and improve our ability to focus on a goal. It also allows us to create better networks of support, overcome setbacks, and persevere with a more resilient outlook. Our ability to delay gratification and to see the long-term directly affects our ability to succeed. And lastly, emotional intelligence impacts our ability to lead. When we're able to understand what motivates others, when we can relate in a positive manner and build strong bonds with others in the workplace, inevitably we will be better leaders. An effective leader can recognize what needs to be done, what people are feeling, and how to communicate with them in order to motivate them. An emotionally savvy and intelligent leader is also able to build stronger teams by strategically utilizing the emotional diversity of the team members to benefit the team as a whole. So what role does emotional intelligence have in the classroom? We've talked about how emotional intelligence relates later in life, but how about in the classroom? Especially in early childhood classrooms, emotions are found everywhere. I'm sure many of you have experienced watching a child go from being excited to being at school, to sad that they have to leave mom, to frustrated that they can't find their coat or their shoes, to turning around and being excited that they get to play with a friend, all within the span of mere moments. When we can learn how to use those emotions and how to help the child regulate those emotions, we can help the child to succeed. Similarly, in a teacher, I'm sure that you've had the day where you are worried about a supervisor's evaluation, and the next moment you're proud of one of your students and how well they've grasped a concept that you've just taught, to being anxious about a difficult parent meeting that you have coming up. And all of those things show us just how prevalent emotions are in our classrooms. A case can be made that helping children improve their self-awareness and confidence, manage their disturbing emotions and impulses, and increase their empathy pays off not just in improved behavior, but in measured academic improvement. So what are some of the components of emotional intelligence? Sorry. We can answer that with the acronym RULER. First, we need to recognize emotions in ourselves and in others. The first step is recognizing them in ourselves, but until we can recognize them in others, it's not quite as helpful. The second is to understand the causes and consequences of emotions. Next, we need to label the emotion. We need to give it a name so that we can deal with it. Fourth, we are going to express that emotion. That emotion is going to be expressed one way or another. So we can learn how to regulate those emotions. These are the things that we need to help our children learn to do. We need to help ourselves first, and then our children learn how to recognize, understand, label, express, and regulate emotions. One of the reasons that this topic is so important to me is because I grew up in a house where emotions were not allowed. And I was in my early adulthood before I could recognize, understand, and label my emotions. I struggled all through school and in early adulthood because I didn't know what I was feeling. I knew I was feeling because there were tears coming out of my eyes, but I didn't know what I was feeling. I could not put a label on it. Therefore, I couldn't express it effectively, appropriately, and I couldn't regulate it. So how can we, as educators, promote emotional intelligence? The first thing that we want to do is we need to observe. We need to watch our children, watch how they interact with others, watch how they problem solve, and making things in the day-to-day situations. How do you can help them identify their emotions when you observe how they do these things. We can also make a difference with positive interactions. The way that we word things with children, the choices that we make and how we interact with a child can positively or negatively affect their emotional intelligence. It's very easy for us to say, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't run. If we can turn that around and make it into a positive, in younger classes, we talk about using our walking feet. We don't use our running feet, we put on our walking feet. We use our walking feet in the school. Our running feet are great for outside. So there's a positive. Well, I'm not telling them not to run, but I'm telling them to walk while they are inside. We can use different activities in our classroom to help promote emotional intelligence. When a child does not appear to have the social skills to get along well with others in a large group, then we try to organize a smaller situation where they're only involved with 2 or 3 children, learning how to practice and relate to others. We help children learn to share by creating situations where the children will have to take turns. Allowing children to choose their activities and take responsibility for their choices and their behavior. We can do this by giving them 2 choices. Would you like to play with the blocks, or would you like to play with the cars? We still have control of the classroom. We still have the final say in what their activity is, but we're giving them a choice. We're letting them take ownership of their behavior. If they choose to play with the blocks, but they can't share, then we let them deal with the results of that. We let them deal with, and depending on where a child is in their emotional development, sometimes we go back to observing and watch how they work it out with the other child. Sometimes we have to step in and we work together with them, giving them the words and the actions to make it a positive experience. But we've taught them that they have to live with the consequences of their actions and their choices. When a child behaves badly, we need to talk about the behavior, not the child. When a child is not getting along with another student, we never tell that child that they are a bad child. They are not bad children. They may be behaving badly, but they are not bad children. So we want to make sure that we are talking about their behavior and working with them to improve behavior. We always praise the person because they are awesome. They're all awesome. God made them to be wonderful individuals. We need to recognize that in them, but we also need to help them train their reactions, teach them how to regulate their emotions, and teach them what are appropriate ways to express their emotions. We encourage children to take ownership of specific achievements and feel proud of what they've accomplished. Help them understand their achievements by praising specific aspects. Instead of just saying good job, tell them how you like that they colored that fire engine red. Tell them, instead of saying I'm proud of you, tell them you should be proud of yourself. Let them take ownership of it and be very specific in your praise. Yes, there are times that we just need to say good job, and we need to tell them that they are awesome, that they are wonderful. But we also need to make sure that we praise specific things. Earlier today, my class was doing a craft project with the craft teacher, and they were using plasticine to create a cat. I had all different kinds of cats in my classroom. I had polka dotted cats. I had lumpy cats. I had black and brown and blue cats. I had purple and yellow and green cats. I had every imaginable cat that you can imagine. And every child wanted to hear what I thought about their cat. So it gets kind of old for me and for them if I just tell them you did a good job. So I have to take the time to look at each child's work and find something positive in their work to praise. I love how you made that cat's tail so long. I love how your cat is looking at the ceiling. And finding specific ways to praise them. The next way that we can promote emotional intelligence is by modeling it. We can model it with adult behavior. Making sure that I model the kind of behavior and problem-solving skills that I want to see in my students is the easiest way to teach them how to behave. Children don't do what we ask them to do. Children do what they see us do. If I tell children that it is not okay to yell inside, that they may not yell at their classmates, yet I yell at them, they are not going to listen to me tell them not to yell. They are going to imitate what I do. So when I deal with a child that is expressing anger in an inappropriate way, I cannot express my anger in an inappropriate way. I must find ways to express it appropriately by talking to the child, by sitting them down and talking to them and finding out why they're angry. Do they even know that they're angry? This goes back to the ruler, recognizing. Do they recognize that what they're feeling is anger? And then helping them learn how to express it and regulate it. We can also model it through role play. Using dolls and puppets. If your classroom has, for especially the younger classes, if you have a dramatic play center, a home center, a place that your children can act out what they see in real life, what they see at home, where they can dress up or they can pretend that they're the mommy. That's a great place for you to first observe their behavior. What are they seeing? But then it's a place you can also step in and you can help them to role play that and teach them what is an appropriate way to express their emotions. We also need to consider that emotions are fine. We all have emotions. We don't want to ever teach children that they can't have emotions. We have emotions. We need to learn how to label them, understand them, express them, and regulate them. We can also read stories involving characters who successfully solved problems and related well to others. I don't know if you'll be familiar with these books. These are English children's books, but we have a character called Clifford the Big Red Dog, and one of his books, Clifford fails several times to try to get a job. And we as adults know that not being able to get a job can be a little bit stressful, a little bit depressing. But the book shows children that it's okay, that those feelings are okay, and that if we keep trying, that we will succeed. Another children's book, English children's book, is Franklin Forgets. Franklin is a turtle, and he has told Mr. Mole that he will water his garden while Mr. Mole is on vacation, and Franklin forgot. And so in reading that story with our children, we can show them ways that they can resolve conflict, and that they can express emotions and regulate emotions. And then there's the little engine that could. Generations have been inspired by the little engine that kept saying, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And this story is about a small train that is pulling too much weight, trying to get up to the mountain, to get the circus animals to the circus. And no one thinks that he is capable of doing it. And the whole time that he is trying to get up the mountain, he says, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And it would be so easy for him to let other people's emotions and beliefs about him impact his ability. But this shows how he is in control of his own emotions and how he can serve others. And also in songs. Are you familiar with the song, The Itsy Weensy Spider, or The Itsy Bitsy Spider, depending on who you heard it from, where you heard it? The itsy bitsy spider climbed up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain, and the itsy bitsy spider went up the spout again. Again, he kept trying. He didn't let circumstances weigh him down. He kept at it until he was able to succeed. Children have long known and loved the itsy bitsy spider, and because it's a great tool for teaching them how to persevere and how to deal with emotions in a very simple way. So, what does emotional intelligence look like? Emotional intelligence looks a lot like empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand what someone else is feeling. And that's what a lot of emotional intelligence is. Again, we want to be able to recognize the feelings, understand the cause and the consequences, label the feelings, express the feelings in a socially acceptable way, and then learn how to regulate feelings. We do this with our children. We teach them this when we model it for them and when we help them learn how to express their emotions. In your classroom every day, you will see tons of emotions. I teach the younger children, so I see the tears when mommy leaves them at the door for the first time, or the second, or the fifth, or the 25th time. In the older classes, you get to deal with the breakup with the boyfriend or the girlfriend. But emotions are involved in our everyday lives. And when we can learn how to express them appropriately and regulate them, when we can teach others how to do that, we can teach them how to be successful. When you give children skills and strategies for controlling their emotions, solving problems, and relating to others in positive ways, you give them tools that will serve them well for the rest of their lives.